AFK screen. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of Wowhead Weekly. We have got a ton of news to cover this week, but first up, I have to tell you about our sponsors. Wowhead Weekly is sponsored by Full Sail University, and when you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see an awesome clip explaining exactly what it is they do right here. If you've ever considered working behind the scenes to create video games, Full Sail University offers programs that can prepare you for a future in the industry. Whether you're interested in coding, art, producing, or mobile game development, there's a game degree program at Full Sail University that can teach you the tools, technology, and workflow used by today's studios. Full Sail University has offered game programs for more than a decade, and graduates have worked on titles such as Grand Theft Auto, the Call of Duty series, Assassin's Creed, and many more. Full Sail students receive a laptop along with game industry software at a deep institutional discount, and Full Sail University also offers a variety of campus and online degrees in fields related to the entertainment and media industry. You can visit fullsail.edu/wowweekly to learn more. All right, but for those of you watching on Twitch, on with the show. So we're back, hooray, live stream, and obviously with me is, as ever, the amazing site manager and everything guide writer, anything on Wowhead extraordinaire, Perk. Welcome back, Perk.
Hey.
How's it going?
I am very excited to be doing this live again,
Yes.
and we have really cool goodies to share with you that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, definitely. No, for sure. We're really, really excited about that. So we actually got some cool stuff from Blizzard. We got it. Actually, it was while I was still in the UK, wasn't it? So.
It was a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a little while, but it's my fault that we haven't been able to show it to you sooner. It's my bad because UK, and I've been packing my entire life to move out here to the States, and it's kind of been a bit of a hectic time for me, so my fault that we haven't been able to show it to you until now, but we have got some awesome stuff to show you. So, Perk, what should we start with? Should we start with the mugs, or should we start with...
Do you want ceramics or a plushie?
Oh, ceramics or plushie.
Yeah, what does the chat want?
Okay, well, let chat room choose ceramics or a plushie. Let us know. And now we have to wait slightly quietly for the chat lag to catch up. Yeah, so if you aren't able to watch us on Twitch, we stream this. We're going to be doing every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, because obviously Perk is 3 hours ahead. And one vote for ceramics. I pull Perks down, or 2 for plushie. The shirt, says someone. We don't have a shirt, I'm afraid. We have plushie. Okay, plushie is definitely winning in the chat room right now. Your mic is kind of spiky, Perk. I don't know if you're able to just turn the gain switch down on that a teeny tiny bit. Just
okay,
real quick.
I turned it down.
Yeah, hopefully that's working.
Okay.
It's just kind of got a little bit excited. That's Skype for you. So let's go with this plushie. All right, so it's in a bag. So I left mine in the bag for this reason, whereas I know Perk got a bit overexcited. So it's in a bag. Here we go, and there's the back of the bag. It's got the usual label on it, just like you'd expect. And you can't actually, funny enough, the plushie itself isn't actually on this label.
Yeah, I think the label's a little outdated.
Yeah, I feel like the label may be a little on the old side. Okay, I'm going to turn myself up and Perk down. Please do keep us informed if the sound issues continue, chat room. We're working on it. I'm live adjusting it, as you say, that Perk is different to me. But anyway, let's go on with this. So, get him out of the bag. It's Hogger. Check him out.
We both have him.
He's hilarious. So, Perk, you're kind of like the authority between the two of us on plushies because you have way more than me. Like, so what's your kind of initial take on the actual Hogger plushie? What do you think of it?
Okay, so it's not as squishy as the Frostwolf Frostwolf. A pup. There's also a plush.
Yeah, that's really hard to say.
But he has a ton of detailing on him, more so than the Frostwolf one. Like, he has this spiky collar on him. He's got this little shoulder armor. He has different colored like fur on his legs.
He's super detailed.
Belts on. Like, yeah, he's really detailed, and his eyes have these really funny spirals on them.
Like, did Hogger have that in the game? I didn't realize that was like something that they did. Did they have the spiral eyes in the game, or what?
I don't think that they did. But he definitely is meant to be very fearsome at level 10, so maybe this is meant to
maybe be scary.
It can be very scary.
Yeah, exactly.
He also has a really cool soft tail that's kind of posable.
Yeah.
And his head has more fur on it. So lots of different textures. He's got this little bracelet.
Yeah.
armor thing.
That's really
So yeah,
cool.
he's very cool. He has a ton of detailing. I was a little surprised he didn't come with a Hogger pet in game, but
Yeah.
he's still very cool.
Yeah, but then did the Murgle, this guy didn't come with an in-game pet either. Like,
Right.
they haven't done them for every single one. But I
Yeah.
do think that, like, given that we know that there is the Hog's pet,
Exactly.
I was kind of surprised that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I can see yours only has the shoulder pad on one side also, because I wasn't sure if mine had come with, like, an
Yeah.
error. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like he's got the sort of lopsided look, which I think he does in game as well, because
Yeah.
a lot of the level armor isn't on both shoulders. So I think that's pretty cool. And his
Yeah.
collar is very robust, and
Yeah, I
his
think
spikes
that's cool.
aren't too spiky;
And I
they just
noticed
look
that
very shiny.
it actually comes off too.
Oh,
Like,
wow, I didn't notice that.
It removes completely. Like I actually accidentally removed it. So you could take the collar off if you want him to be nicer Hogger. Maybe like vanilla Hogger or something didn't have the spiky collar, but yeah, and his tail is like, it's not like, obviously you can't like do anything with it to the same level as you could with the fairy dragon, where like I know
Right.
you had it wrapped around a lamp for a while
Yep.
or something like that.
They're
but
both
yeah.
on the lamp.
They're both. So yeah, you can't really like. I suppose you could probably like hang him by it. I think the one thing about him is, and I don't know how best to show this off, is he's way better at sitting. Like obviously you can see he's just kind of perched on my hands there, and it's just like he's just sitting there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, he's
Yeah,
better
he's
at
good for
sitting.
posing in the background. I usually have him in the background when I don't have him out.
Yeah, and like this guy, I'm not moving him because it took me forever to get him to sit up like that. So that's kind of convenient for as far as like putting them on display goes. He feels quite a lot firmer to me. Like because of all the detailing and all of the structure, like you can see that he's sort of clothed properly. Like you could put your finger inside his his clothing, which is probably kind of uncool. But yeah, it's like, you know, he's got a lot more sort of detail and structure to him than the other guys, and I'm going to pick this up to give you a size comparison.
Yeah, let me get mine too.
Yeah, like here's the Murgle, and the Murgle is about the same size as the actual rest of the Murlocs. So you can see that Hogger is quite substantially larger than the Murloc, and like compared to the Frostwolf pup. Yeah, he's about the same size as the Frostwolf pup, isn't he? So
Yeah,
he's a similar
it's just
size.
if you try squishing them, Hogger is a lot sturdier than this guy. And there's just, more detailing. Like, the pup's very cute, but, he only has this little collar on him, and the rest is just Hogger's got, like, all sorts of stitching.
He has got a ton of stuff. He's got really cool. He's just got really, really cool. Even, like, the little, I keep failing at the camera. Like, he's got the little sort of, like, tearing detail on the ends of his trousers.
I really like all the spots on his fur. Like, it's just, there's so much detail how, one thing is like spotted, another part's dark, and he's got the pants and the black shirt and the snout.
Yeah, he's super detailed. So. Like, there's obviously, like, stuff like this has got a ton of cool detail on it as well, but this guy is really, like, taking it to a whole new level.
Now I need to put this collar back on.
Yeah! I need to try and get this guy to sit back up.
His ears are very floppy and detailed, too. They have these little big black...
Oh, yeah, that's really nice. The tips are cool. And his fur is very, very soft. Like, he's kind of furry and cool. And no, to answer the question in chat for RC Shaggy267, he does not come with an in-game pet. We did kind of cover this earlier, but yeah, he doesn't come with an in-game pet, which is kind of a shame. But, like, you had to do the South Shore versus Tara Mill and get the win in order to get the in-game pet version of this little guy.
No, you didn't.
Oh, sorry, no, that was the other way around. the Hog's pet. The Hog's pet.
Yeah. Like, people thought that you would have to do, but it was... Blizzard was debating it, and they decided not to... And it's in limbo. We'd like to see Hogger.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so he comes with his bag. Like, the bag, I don't know how much people care about the bags. Like, the bag has little Hogger. And...
I mean, if you like collecting stuff, you're, transporting it. It's a pretty, nice, durable bag.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's cool. So it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to move him. It takes him ages. And I tried to put him back, and I can't put him back. He's hopeless. That like little Murgle is terrible at being sat. But Hogger, on the other hand, sits like a boss.
Yeah, you can see all my Murlocs in the background. Yeah. They're just sort of like, hey, we'll be in a pile. We don't sit at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to take me another 20 minutes to get this guy to sit again. So anyway, but yeah, that's Hogger. But that's not all we got. We were super lucky. Like, I was amazed by this. Like, Blizzard's been sending us stuff to go through on the show and just to talk about it.
This was a total surprise.
Oh,
I was
man, yeah.
so excited.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we figured that, like, the Christmas loot pack we got was just because, they gave it to a bunch of fan sites. But we were really like, wow, what? To get all of this stuff. So, okay, we've got 4 things in boxes. What color, Perk? What color are you going with first?
I'm going with purple because I'm using this one the most.
That's convenient because that's the one that I happened to pick up. So you can buy them online, Cardbreaker. All of the stuff actually that Perk and I have behind us pretty much, obviously not Perk's awesome dog collection, but the plushies that are Murlocs, like this guy, and Hogger. You can get all of that online from gear.blizzard.com. Hogger is $30. He is not reduced right now, but some of the stuff is reduced right now. But Hogger is $30 plush. I think it's pretty cool. Like, he's not going to be to everyone's taste, but he is awesome. I love him. He's just
you can pose him with like your breakfast bacon or have it terrorize the other plushies on your desk.
Yeah, I just love his face. Like, he's just like, yeah. So he is definitely available gear.blizzard.com. So these things come in a box like so. And again, I don't know how much people care about boxes, but I find it kind of nice to see them. And they are mugs.
Yay!
So here we go. This is the Heroines one.
Yeah.
Which has, let me get this the right way around. I'm inevitably going to
So on mine, Turand is here, and you can tell that she has a little moon earrings and her, iconic dress.
Yes, there we go. And she's got the moon there, which is helpful for if you're terrible at lore like me and you can't tell the difference between the two of them. In euros, I don't actually know the euro cost. It won't show me the euro cost because I am in the US. Let me see while Perk shows off this mug real quick if I can find that.
So the other side of the mug has Sylvanas on it, and you can tell because there's skulls, and she looks upset. And the interior of the mug is purple. And at the bottom, it says Blizzard Entertainment, and, tells you to visit the store, and it's with Cute But Deadly. So you have all these figures, and they look super cute. And there's the logo. And, yeah, it's a pretty big mug. I use it for tea. It's definitely bigger than a usual teacup.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, like, I just like, it's very, very big and sort of wide and flat almost. Like, I don't have a normal mug around here to compare it to, but...
Oh, wait,
like,
I have...
Oh, here we go. There you go. Yeah. Sort of, like, it's a lot... Like, that's your normal mug, and that is the big... Like, you can see how big they are. Yeah. Like, they are huge. They're advertised as 14-ounce mugs. And, like, I don't have a really good handle on what that is in, like, milliliters. So 12 ounce is 330. So it must be, like... or 350 mil, like approaching 400 mil. So that is a really big mug. Like this is a can of Coke would be more than fit into this. Yeah. So it's pretty huge, and they're dishwasher safe because I've already put them through the dishwasher, and they're awesome. So this is the ladies one with Tirana and Sylvanas as heroines.
Also for chat, we'll be posting pictures of all these on the site tomorrow in case someone has too much glare. You want us to rotate to a better angle. Or
anything. Yeah, we can do that. So we've got all of these. So let's
there's
go
4
through
in the series.
Yes, there's 4 in the series. All right, so this one I've picked out is the orange one, which it's the kind of the everybody mug.
Yeah,
it's kind
I see like Arthas, Sylvanas, Chen, Illidan. I think there's 2 Arthas in here, maybe?
There's an Illidan. Yeah, I think there might be like the 2.
There's a Vol'jin.
Yeah, there's a Vol'jin. I think this one is...
There's a Thrall.
There is a ton. Basically, there is a ton. And I think hopefully you can see this. Hopefully this isn't too shiny. You can kind of see.
Mine is, I think, with the way the lighting is. So.
Yeah, exactly. I like Deathwing. Like that's Deathwing right there, and he is awesome on this. So rotating this around, there's Grumpy Thrall. Thrall is so grumpy. We'll get to Thrall's mug. He is so grumpy, and his grumpy face
he's
is hilarious.
Very sad.
It is, yeah. So moving through these, right? Okay, let's go to the green one. This is the Varian, and it looks like Lich King and Illidan. So
that's the blue one, yeah. So this is the
not the green one.
one.
Lich King, Illidan. There we go. Okay, yours is a little too shiny, but mine seems okay. I can see there's a little bit of a sun reflection there, so sorry about that. But you can see, there we go, Illidan, Lich King. I mean, obviously, blue on the inside. These are all, once you've seen one of these, you're just kind of looking at the different patterns.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton of...
last one is the Heroes one, I think. So you've got the dudes, so...
Yeah.
You've got Varian. He looks kind of upset.
Yeah.
And serious. And on the other side, you have Thrall, who, as we
He's
said,
so
is
grumpy. Grumpiest Thrall
and
ever.
it is green inside.
Yeah, and you've got kind of little horde detailing there. So just for comparison, like I happen to have one of these Murloc mugs. Like that's what I meant when I didn't have a normal mug. So that's a kind of size comparison. And the Murloc mug is pretty huge. Like this is massive. So they're a good size.
Yeah.
This is very cool. It's kind of hard to drink out of.
So they stack. They're very cool, dishwasher safe, and they are on sale.
They are on sale. They are on sale. They're usually $14.99, currently reduced to $14.24. And I think the reason why they sent us all this stuff is to give us a chance to hype up the anniversary sale on the Blizzard Gear store. So 40% off select products across all franchises, which includes the Frostwolf Pop, the Murloc mug, the Lords of War shirt, which is actually the one that I'm wearing, the South Shore versus Tara Mill shirt. So there's a ton of good stuff that's on sale right there. But yeah, we kind of have to go through this quickly. Like we did the BlizzCon goodie bag unboxing, that took us forever, but we've got so much news, so much news to talk about. My God, yeah, we skipped a week because again, I was moving to the US, so that was kind of stressful. But yeah, we kind of don't have time enough to go through every single thing in supreme detail, but we can hit some of the highlights. So Blackrock Foundry is underway. We are off. It is going. Blackrock. Oh, that's awesome. Actually, sorry, let me just stop there for a second. Hubert the Fifth has just put in Twitch chat that the art for the mugs can be found online. The name of the artist is John Polidora.
Awesome.
So that's Polidora. He has a DeviantArt page with all of them in full color. I will try my best to link that DeviantArt page in the post on Wowhead. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then it is down there. So off we go.
We love giving artists credit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's awesome. Like I didn't know that. So thank you very much indeed, Hubert the Fifth. I'm just gonna get rid of that box before I knock it off. All right then. So Blackrock Foundry, it is underway. So cool stuff about Blackrock Foundry. Like we've spoken about this before, but we found a bunch of cool stuff that people may not actually know about. So the first thing I thought that people might not be aware of is the Sigil of the Black Hand quest, which gives you, surprise, surprise, the Sigil of the Black Hand. So Perk, what exactly is the Sigil of the Black Hand?
So it's this quest that you can pick up by Iron Maidens, and you have to kill the Endwing bosses several times, loot items from them, and then you can then teleport directly to Black Hand in any future weeks. So if you don't need any of the loot from other bosses, you can just skip to Black Hand, farm some loot, tier tokens, if you're really progressed, farm the Mythic Mount, and then you can go back and do the other bosses afterwards. So it rewards you for doing a few weeks of clearing the entire instance, which I think is pretty cool.
Definitely. And does that work on only that one difficulty level, so it's just enabling you to port there later? Or is it any difficulty level?
So if you pick up the quest in Mythic difficulty, it works for also porting in Normal and Heroic, but if you pick it up in Normal, it obviously only works for
Right, yeah, exactly. So that makes a ton of sense, actually, because I know that, like, particularly if you're doing those instances a lot, like, you get kind of, like, remember with, like, Siege of Orgrimmar, how fed up we all were with Immersius? Like, oh my God, and everyone wanted that damn trinket off Immersius.
I know, and then when Plex went away, you're like, you have to clear the whole thing to get your guarantee.
Oh my God, yeah, that was insane. So that was something, actually, that came up when I interviewed Ian Hazekostas way back before Warlords of Draenor even came out. We were talking about the concerns that a lot of the hardcore raiders had about the multiple difficulties, and one of the things that he brought up as a mitigant to people having to raid and like go through 4 difficulties all the time and getting completely burnt out were these items. And we haven't seen one for High Maul, have we? We haven't seen one of those.
No, I mean there's fewer bosses there, and I think the difficulty is easier, and I believe there's less trash, so maybe it's not meant to be as tedious.
Right, yeah.
But also Blackrock Foundry has like tier loot and the Mythic Mount and a few other cool things. So maybe they're seeing, will people actually really use this in Foundry, and will it be in all instances going forward then?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be cool to see that coming back. And it would also be cool, honestly, to see that coming back in retrospectively for High Maul. Like, I would love to see that for High Maul.
I would love it for old raids too, just Dragon Soul, like I don't want to be Spike again. Just
exactly.
And
yeah, sorry, my computer just pinged there for something. My apologies for that, guys. But yeah, so the World First Race is obviously ongoing, as it always is with these things. The World First Race is underway. Last time I looked, which was shortly before we started filming the show, we had 2 guilds. We had Midwinter representing the Alliance in the US on 8 out of 10 Mythic. We had Paragon representing the Horde in the EU, so bitter rivals there, obviously, on 8 out of 10 Mythic. Mythic, and we have Blood Legion and Method sitting on the lower 7 out of 10 Mythic. So that's going to be a pretty exciting race. Like, that's kind of cool to see Midwinter and Paragon like pushing up there and like overtaking Blood Legion and Method. But I don't doubt we'll see resurgences from those guys. It seems like they were actually making hot fixes to these bosses as the US guilds were progressing on the first day.
We were posting some news. We posted them yesterday, and I know some guilds have been posting videos saying, "Hey, this pillar isn't working," or "We killed this boss, but check out this bug video we made along the way."
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely should be an interesting race.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, and
yeah.
Zug Pat Crane from the Convert to Raid podcast has just let us know that Exorcist, the Russian guild, I believe they play Horde and they are EU, have apparently just made 8 of 10. So that is cool. That is really hotting up. So the sort of traditional front runners are kind of lower down there, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah. And if you watch this in a few days, the rankings will be
I don't doubt it'll change around a lot. So one of the interesting things that we had with Blackrock Foundry is actually this this big old blog that Ian Hazzikostas, who's Watcher, the leading counter designer, put up about the difficulties that they have with tuning and the different approach that they've taken with Blackrock Foundry versus Highmaul. So to summarize kind of the TLDR of what he was saying was that they let us sit in Highmaul for quite a lot longer. And obviously, you know, they're kind of the same tier, like they're still effectively the same tier. We didn't get any tier tokens at all from Highmaul, so we're putting them forward into Foundry, and that's the only place we're really starting to see proper tokens appear. So they are technically the same tier, but there was a big gap in between, which allows people to gear up for Highmaul, so gear up from Highmaul, excuse me, to a higher level, and thereby allows them to make the encounters in Foundry a little bit more tricky, because they can assume that more people have completed through Highmaul and more people are starting Foundry at a higher gear level. So that's kind of...
Although I think people are surprised that Foundry is more difficult because they've gotten pretty complacent in Highmaul.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that people are finding it much more tricky. I mean, I know that my guild, for example, like we sort of did all of Highmaul on normal, all of Highmaul on heroic, and moved into mythic. And we kind of, even though you don't need to, we kind of progressed traditionally in that way, which was possibly a stupid idea, but what can you do? So it's kind of an interesting thing now where we did normal and heroic and then pushed into Foundry. And now the gear that we're getting from Foundry normal is just kind of not really relevant, not really upgrades. It's kind of side grades at the best. So it's kind of a weird loot progression. I know you've looked at this a ton with the items on Wowhead. Like, what's your take on that? Why do you think it's working?
I mean, there seems to be a lot of confusion surrounding this tier. People didn't seem to know that the N-Wing bosses are harder, which drops the tier that people need. People weren't sure that the instance was like linear versus wing-based. So it does feel weird that if you're doing heroic Highmaul and then you're going back to normal Foundry, like you think that you should be doing heroic Foundry, but that seems too hard right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how successful the half tier is going right now. But I do get a sense, just looking at who's looking at our raid guides and what loot items are popular, that a lot of people are hitting a wall, I think, sooner than they thought right now.
Yeah.
And it seems that the 6.1 loot is designed to help, deal with people that are, having in this situation that Foundry is too difficult, but they don't need all the gear that they're getting. So we've got crafted gear that's like level 680. We've got some other types of gear coming. We've got better rewards from like challenge modes and invasions. So I think in 6.1 that should get more people doing Blackrock Foundry.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the loot that we're going to get there, and I think as people go through, and like the thing is that they said in this blog that they wanted it to complement, not as in, hey, you look lovely today, but go well with, rather than supplant Highmaul. So they didn't want it to be a case where you have like a full tier jump, where that means that you are genuinely, okay, so this is, Raid 2 is out, I am no longer interested in Raid 1, we are never going to go back in there. They wanted Highmaul to remain relevant content. And I would definitely say, like from my experience at least, that if you're suffering in normal Foundry, go back to heroic Highmaul and get the gear from there, because that's going to sort of increase your item level to the point where normal Foundry is kind of trivial because you're so well geared. However, if you're doing if you're moving from one difficulty to the same difficulty in the next raid, then you're going to be having a more like a tier jump progression almost, or at least a half tier jump with the difficulty. So it's kind of a tricky one, and I don't know how well it's working. Like when they brought out the Mogishan Vault's Heart of Fear, Terrors of Endless Fights tier, that was kind of that was kind of one point where they were like, actually, we don't really like this half-tier progression thing. We're not really okay with this. We're not huge fans. And now they seem to have done it again. So I'm kind of debating the wisdom of that choice right now.
Yeah. Also, just some messaging with how this was portrayed. Like I mentioned before, I don't think people realize that High Maul is linear, but Foundry is not. So I think you saw a lot of people going into the blast furnace and being like, whoa, why is this so much harder? Like, wait, I meant to do, Beast Lord at first? Like, I don't think people really understood they were meant to do that. And also, Ian said in his blog, he's like, hey, the early bosses are meant to be designed if you have a certain eye level, but the later bosses, you're meant to accumulate some set bonus gear and some gear from Foundry before you complete the entire instance. And I think people assumed, oh, well, I have everything I need from High Maul, and High Maul and Foundry are kind of the same tier, so I'll be totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely been some confusion there with the messaging, and I don't think, like, people, like my guild, for example, like where we're pushing through it, it's kind of like pushing through to going, like, we want to do a wing at a time. Like, the way we've been progressing is to do a wing at a time. And I think that a lot of guilds will do that, and it's not really designed to do that, so it's kind of designed for you to go, like wing 1, boss 1, wing 2, boss 1, wing 3, boss 1, and then kind of go round again, and then kind of go round again, and then eventually to hit Blackhand. And it's kind of an odd layout. I mean, if you go back to the days of like Ice Crown Citadel, like people then were more accustomed to this idea of the winged raid. But I think now people are so used to just like going straight forwards, and it's just like.
I mean, looking at Ice Crown, I think that Wing 1 was easier than Wing 2 and then Wing 3, and the wings opened like one after the other.
Yeah.
I think Cindergosa was harder than Sourfang, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so I just think better messaging. Like, I know the Encounter Journal lists them in the order of difficulty with the N-Wing bosses at the end, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, the Encounter Journal must be, wrong. Like, there must be an error. Let me report this. I didn't realize it was like, do them in this order.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that they just haven't done a great job of messaging that. And there are definitely like some frustrating fights. I know that there's been a lot of complaints flying around about, and my brain's just fallen out, the twins, Hansgar and
Franzok. Yeah, the motion sickness.
The motion sickness ones, where people have been talking about how they're getting really motion sick, and obviously with the crush thing, that's kind of a sort of like high stress mechanic. Like, I actually found it hilarious. Like, just watching all of my rages running around on the wrong things, because you've got the motion and the crush mechanic at the same time. I fortunately don't really suffer from motion sickness, so I was fine with it, but I know that for people who do suffer from motion sickness, they've been having a really hard time. So some suggestions have been to do things like point your camera at the wall, point your camera kind of straight down,
drink ginger tea,
take a motion sickness tablet. That seems kind of extreme just to be able to raid, but so
a lot of different people are expressing concerns about it, even people that usually don't have motion sickness, and I can sympathize. I remember doing Alice Razor. I was always fine, and then on that fight I did not feel well doing it with everything flashing and being dizzy.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried everything to make it be better, and it kind of got better, but it still was kind of unpleasant for you.
Oh, man, yeah, totally. No, it's a really hard thing if you actually do suffer from that, and I know that a lot of people struggle with it. So yeah, it's an interesting tier, and we've got a ton of really cool guides, which you should definitely check out if you're struggling with any aspect. We've got guides to all of the bosses, right up to Mythic with some Mythic advice, and then obviously once Method complete, they're clear, they will be starting working on our Method Mythic raid guides, which was super excited to have them back. They did a great job. The High Maul guides are incredibly in depth.
Like it just, like what we were saying, if Foundry is too difficult, try going back into High Maul Mythic and use their guides to help you out. It's not just written strategy, it's also video guides narrating all different aspects. And I think their Imperator video is something like 40 minutes long, because it goes over everything.
Yeah, it goes over everything in huge amounts of detail. You can skip through it to all the different points, and there's still an achievement for getting the Imperator down. That's not gone away with the release of Foundry, so all of the sort of ahead of the curve, cutting edge achievements are still there, and you can still get them until patch 6.2 comes out.
And we have no idea when that is.
No, we've no idea at all when that is. And obviously the thing that needs to happen first is patch 6.1 to come out, and we've got some ideas and news on that. But first, every week we do the news for Wowhead itself, which is awesome stuff, which is basically what Perk and the dev team have been working their backsides off doing while we've been away. And it's been a little while this time, so what have you guys been up to? I know you've been really busy.
Yeah, so the first thing is something that you should all enter. We have a Love is in the Air giveaway for some TCG mounts and toys, and most excitingly, some custom character art by our site artist Noxyshoe, who does all the really cute logos and guide doodles across the site. So all you have to do, if you've entered a past giveaway, just verify your character in the profiler and then hit enter contest. and you have to just do any achievement from Love is in the Air. So that ends on the 16th, so you only have a few days to do that. But it's really easy. You can have the really simple achievement done and enter to win these awesome prizes. So yeah,
that's really cool.
the art's amazing.
Oh wow, yeah, Noxie
yeah.
is amazing. Noxie is absolutely awesome. She's just been knocking it out of the park with the art lately. Like all of the stuff that she's been doing, which you see at the top of the guides, has just been amazing. So she'll do an art piece of your character, and like I paid her to do a couple of mine, and they're so good. She is so amazing at just kind of capturing the essence. So do enter that, get into that one. But you guys have also been doing a ton of work, not just contests, on the garrison calculator and the cool features there. So run us through what you've been up to.
All right, so as we talked about in a previous show, we've done the garrison calculator on Wowhead, so you can put your followers on the site, track your followers as you browse lists and database pages, and see their mission success chance. And people really like that, and they asked us to do even more of that, like more options, more calculations, so we did just that. So if you bring your followers onto Wowhead, it recommends the 3 top follower combinations, and you can also ask the tool to recommend if your followers were at max level, and what's the fastest option with epic mount. And we've changed it so when you enter in these options, the URL at the top of the page changes, so you can link your exact follower combination to your friends. If you're like, hey, this combination's really good, check it out, you can share that now. And something I think is really cool is that we have it set up to work on our PTR mission pages as well. So, there are like profession missions that have new abilities. You can see how those play out. There's even some success chance changes in 6.1. So, your followers on live might not be giving you as much success as they do in the PTR with nothing else changed. So yeah, we have instructions which will, we've mentioned before, but basically if you already have your followers on the site, go to any of the pages at wowhead.com/, I think, garrisons, go to the mission part, and just, hit enter and see all the combinations that come up. I think it's really good for planning the 6.1 PTR because you can see what your followers are like at 675 and like see which ones are good on like your Foundry missions and be like, hey, this only gives me like 70% on live, but when they change the formula, I get 80% on live. Like, this is better.
No, it's really, really good. It's an amazing tool, and there's so much that the Wowhead client can do. Like, obviously, it does stuff for us. It gives us the option to gather data through you guys doing questing and being awesome. But we also, we give back, and it's got the bag stuff, you've got the follower stuff, you've got mission, all kinds of awesome stuff. Toys in there as well. So, yeah,
Heirlooms very soon. Maybe we can talk about that next week, but heirlooms are planning on being tracking.
Oh, man. The amount of heirlooms that I have chilling out on characters right now that I have no idea where they are. I'm so excited for that feature. But yeah, so moving on from the Wowhead news, we've obviously got to talk about patch 6.1. Patch 6.1 is kind of the big news thing that people are talking about right now with the raid out. So first up, the most recent build. So part of what we do on Wowhead is we data mine all the builds. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. And the most recent build went from being a test to a release. So obviously you can take as much from this as you want to. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is imminent release. We were kind of like, oh, hey, is this going to be out on Tuesday? Oh my God, we need to do
Monday.
So much work.
We have to work on Monday. Oh no.
So we're kind of hoping, oh, hey, it's Terran. Hey, Terran. We're kind of hoping that it is not going to be out on Tuesday because we've got a ton of work to do for it. But we kind of suspect that given where we are with the Mythic progression race, there's 3 guilds according to our chat room at 8 out of 10 now. So 2 more bosses to go. I have a sneaking suspicion that it will not be next Tuesday, because if they can get that patch to not drop right in the middle of the World First race, I think that's going to make a lot of people much more happy.
There's so many class changes going on, plus I mentioned those different methods of getting gear in 6.1, oh, oops, we're 9 out of 10, let's craft a bunch of trinkets now and hope we get the NPC to spawn on the garrison that has the recipe. That just seems not good.
Yeah, exactly. So we know that I feel like it's highly unlikely that it's going to be this Tuesday. But the change from test candidate to release candidate does certainly imply that it could be coming soon. It's probably at this stage. I'm going to guesstimate late February, early March. That's kind of my finger in the air feeling of where it's going to be. So I think it's going to be early in March. I don't think it's going to be Tuesday, but there's a bunch of, like, we're preparing for that by just doing a ton of guides, really, aren't we? We've got a ton of guides for all of the content. So people have heard the stuff from till the end of time about, like, the camera and the jukebox. Yeah,
but
we're working on both of those. We won't talk about those again because we've spoken about them so many times, but working on guides for those. We had a cool guide for pets and also for challenge modes, which actually just came out today, didn't it? So why are we redoing the challenge mode guide? Like, we had one already.
Yeah, so we did for Mr. Pandaria, but a lot of stuff changed. Like, the gear recommendations changed, different consumables changed, and the gear is getting better from the challenge mode box you get for completing the daily. It's eye level 660, not eye level 640. So that's significantly better, and it was also a good time because Hamlet, who has been on the show before and has also done several guides for Wowhead, like the Resto Druid Guide, the Proving Ground Silver Guide, the Hymal Missions Guide. He's done a lot of stuff. He's doing a series of gold strategy guides. He has 6 of them done, and he wanted to share them on Wowhead. So we're like, oh, this is perfect timing with how the rewards are getting better. So let's get this all ready and published for 6.1. And people are really excited about them, I think. There's also really cool things like you get this Yeti mount that's huge and these weapons that, like, have animations that catch on fire and all this other stuff.
It's so cool. It's such a cool thing. So there's a ton of really, really good content in those guides, and Hamlet is amazing with these kinds of things. He's so detailed, and he really, really gets into every little bit you're going to need. Like, obviously all the key stuff with challenge modes. If you haven't done them before, there's a lot of skip these mobs, take these mobs, go around here and stand over there.
Here.
Yeah, like some slightly imaginative tactics sometimes.
One thing I like is that, he'll do a run that's not the fastest time for gold, or maybe someone dies and he'll explain how they worked around it, which I think is good because not everyone's going to have a perfect run, and it's good to see how you can learn from your mistakes.
Well, and also it's a case of, can you recover? Can you recover from, like,
it's good to see that you can.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember doing my golds in Mists, and it was a case of, like, we actually wiped, like, in one of our gold runs, and it was just a case of, no, because we wiped here, like, you can go back and just come back to it. It was absolutely fine. That was Mogoshan Bolts, I think, that big pull before the 3 bosses that were in the room together. But yeah, it's a really, really cool guide. Do check it out if you're interested in challenge modes. And also, if you're gearing, for me, it's where I've leveled my 100s, like my other 100s apart from my Paladin, and I want to gear up those alts. Like, doing that through challenge modes is an awesome way to really perfect your ability usage and your, like, rotation priority system, and just carry on from there. So that is really awesome. We've had a bunch of builds since the last show, obviously, what with our having been away, so we don't want to go through the whole builds in enormous detail.
Most of them have been kind of small, actually, which I guess is good.
Which is good for us and for the show and for Perk's sanity. But there's been a ton of cool stuff in them. There's just, if you want to look at them in all in detail, all of them will be linked in the notes below the show, so do go check that out. But yeah, one of the coolest stuff we've seen, there was a new pet that was associated with Heroes of the Storm, which I thought looked awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. It reminded me of the graveyard guy in Zelda. Because it had the lantern and it was hunched over.
Yeah, exactly.
The scowling expression. But it's meant to be based on that one popular map. You probably
the oh my goodness. Haunted Mines, that's what it's called. So but you get these, you go down and you kill these things and you collect the skulls, you raise up this grave golem that fights for you, and it's kind of covered in skulls also. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice little pet. We don't know exactly what you have to do in order to get it in Heroes yet, do we?
Yeah, and I don't think we'll know for a while, just because right now it's in closed beta and not everyone gets a fair chance at getting into the beta and getting the pet. So it will probably be like Hearthstone when we see that once it's actually playable, maybe when it's live, at least an open beta.
Yeah, and it is a free-to-play game, so even if it's a case of, you don't have to buy into the game, whereas if you want to get a beta key right now, you would have to either enter one of the millions of competitions that are going on or buy a Founders Pack. So $40 for a pet is not a really good investment of your money. No. So don't do it to play the game because the game is awesome, but don't do it just for the pet, because it's likely to wait until open beta anyway. We also had the new shop mount, which was the Mystic Rune Saber. We actually showed a picture of this in the last recorded episode, which was episode 23. So if you want to see a picture of the Rune Saber, go onto Wowhead in the links below, or go check out the post. We haven't seen it on the shop yet, have we? We don't know how much it is.
It's in the mount journal, and it says it's from the shop in-game, but it's not actually on the shop UI.
Right.
So, you can see the model on Wowhead, you can read the little description about it, but you can't actually you can't write it on the PTR. You can't buy it with test currency and, move it around. But it looks really cool. So, I'll probably get it. One other thing we didn't mention in the notes is that there's a new Recruiter Friend mount as well, which is more of a surprise, I think. it's the Cinder Main Charger, and it's very orange and fiery. And we actually data mined the model like a really long time ago, but didn't know what it was for. And it's the new RAF reward. There's an achievement for getting it. The achievement kind of pokes fun at the fact that there's like a billion other RAF achievements. There's really sad flavor text being like, Ragnaros made this for the daughter he never had. Aww. Which was kind of sad, but it looks really cool.
It's a really awesome thing. Like it grows. It's kind of, the wings remind me, not the mount itself, like the body is very stony and fiery and magma-y. The wings remind me of the Celestial Steed in a way, because they've got that kind of glow effect on them.
Yeah,
like
it was sort of, I was like,
glow.
oh, this is like Invincible but fiery.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
That's
the same model as the
comparison.
Steed.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they kind of work like, do you remember the mount that you got, the ugly, like the Quillen mount that you got from the
Collector's Edition?
No, go on. Oh no, wait, sorry, it was the digital CE.
There was
ugly
like the
Quillen
pet
mount,
and then the mount with it.
Yeah, and it right like Invincible and everything, it kind of grew these sort of astral wings out of the side of itself. That was pretty cool. So there's that as well. The Darkmoon Faire race has returned, which I am very, very happy about. Yay, the Darkmoon Faire race. It's had a few tweaks here and there. There's some subtle changes. Things like, I feel like it's been made a little bit more linear. We've got some additional questing in there as well now, which I don't think we had before. Slightly different stuff. What else have you seen change?
So there's like there's different mounts that you get each day, I believe, and basically when you dismount, you cannot continue with the race. Everything fades away, which is a change because I know you were like running around in Ghost Wolf form doing things. But there are different achievements for completing the race on every mount, and if you do really well, there's different like toys and battle pets and just cool vanity items you get. So you definitely want to keep doing it. You don't just want to beat the race once. You should keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
Mounts.
Yeah, no, it's
and there's like a second tier of which I haven't figured out how to do it, but there's like the race and there's like the big race.
Right,
which has cooler rewards.
Yeah, so we haven't actually worked that. I'm wondering if that's going to be like it might come in at a different time, like maybe halfway through the fair or something.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen it on the PTR at all though, so it's kind of hard to be sure exactly what's going on there.
Or
with
like
the
maybe
big
you have to beat the the baby race, which I've tried. I've gotten better, but it seems really difficult to beat right now, and then maybe you unlock the harder one.
Yeah,
but
I haven't put a ton of effort into it, but it's certainly a case of like you have to just push through with the times, it seems. So it's really fun though. It's a really fun diversion, and I'm hoping that it doesn't have the same phasing issue as the Firebirds achievement had when it first came in, where you're gonna have everybody running around the same race.
Yeah,
that would be really hard.
I mean, I don't think it will, just because it seems that if you dismount, like all like the the flags go away, the obstacles go away, everything changes on you. And it was pretty popular on the PTR when I was doing it, and I didn't see anyone doing it when I was taking my pictures and screenshots.
Right,
so
you didn't have any problems.
Here's hoping they learned.
Yeah, definitely. That would certainly be good if they did. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. I think it's really fun, and we've got some additional stuff. The daily quests in the town hall in your garrison. So people keep asking, kind of, what is 6.1? Where is the content in 6.1? And it's kind of like, I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get the concern. Like, it's a valid concern, and particularly when historically patches have kind of aligned with raids, and we kind of had Blackrock Foundry coming out, and people knew 6.1 was coming. So it was a case of, I think people just assumed that 6.1 would align with Blackrock, and that would kind of be the content in 6.1. But it hasn't been the case, and they seem to have sort of detached the raid from the patch, which is an interesting move. And I don't know how well it's worked.
I kind of feel that a lot of people are not doing Foundry as much as the initial rush into Heimel, just because there's like a higher gear threshold and, skill threshold. And I feel like people are going, I'll just wait for LFR, like my 6.1 gear. Yeah. At least, that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly agree with that. And it's kind of a case of people are sort of waiting and looking to see what happens. And yeah, it's kind of a weird situation at the moment. And then they're waiting for 6.1. And, historically in WoW, patches come with content. But, I mean, there's these daily quests in the town hall. So we actually covered these on Wowhead just the other day. There's sort of four different types of quests. So you've got the bounty quest coming in. You've got some new dungeon quests. You've got, the Harrison Jones quest, like the Relic Hunter
like
series.
He gives you these like relic exploration quests, and when you finish them, you can unlock a mission with the same name that is cool rewards. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah. What's the fourth one? Which one have I missed?
The professions, which are kind of hotly contested because you can turn in a bunch of trade skill materials for primal spirits as your daily.
Right.
But then they also sell the really cool 6.1 recipes, and it's a totally random chance that they'll be in the garrison, and that the profession NPC is the correct one for your profession. So it could be some days before you get that really cool stage 4 upgrade recipe.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be that's going to cause quite a lot of frustration, I suspect, because you could just get bad RNG and get like the bounty missions, the Harrison Jones missions, or the dungeon ones all the time, and just never really see that profession NPC. Like, you could just get unlucky. And as far as I can tell, like the profession, you can't, if you get them on one character, you can't necessarily sell those on to another character with a different profession. Yeah, so it's not like you could be like, oh hey, this character got them, so now I can pass it on to this character. So it's kind of, I can see people getting very frustrated with that, particularly if they're relying on, like, they've got a few slots that they want to fill with crafted gear, and they can't do that because they just keep not getting the guy, and that would be so frustrating. So I mean, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I wouldn't be surprised to see that change, honestly. But yeah, so I don't know, like, I guess I can understand the perception, but like, if you compare it to the Landfall patch, I mean, that added a new, like, visual area to the map.
Yeah, and Brawler's Guild.
Yeah, and Brawler's Guild. So I do think that, like, that's kind of the closest comparison for me, because there was no raid in that patch. And at the time, although, as Hubert the Fifth points out in chat, there was stuff like 2.2 back in TBC that it doesn't contain a raid, but it's kind of, people haven't got a long memory for that type of stuff. And I don't know how many people
weren't even playing back then.
Exactly.
I mean, I was, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's like I was playing, but I was kind of new to it. So it wasn't like a thing where I was like, oh my god, really? But I can see why people are kind of meh about it. So it's certainly fair, but I think that there's a sort of, there's less content in 6.1 than there was in Landfall, in my opinion. But I think that with it colliding with the raid like it is, or will be, I think that that's okay. I'm not sort of super, like, on board with the whole, like, this is just a teeny tiny patch thing. I kind of like patches that have a bunch of stuff in them. But I guess there's a Darkmoon Faire race, there's quests, there's new mounts, there's additional profession items, there's new dailies.
The jukebox is good for collecting, heirlooms are good for collecting. I just prefer if they were like, this is patch 6.1. Here is the theme, and a trailer to go with it.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that is missing from this that was in Landfall, was the story elements there as well. Like, you had that whole idea of the cinematic, and it was a progression on the story of Pandaria, and that was kind of cool in its own way. So we'll see. I think I'm looking forward to 6.1, just for all of the sort of quality of life improvements that are coming in, and the smaller quests, and it's just a little bit more stuff to do in the garrison. And also the crafted items, if I ever get them.
Right.
So I really need gear on my alts, basically, is the kind of the message here. So last up this week, before we hit a couple of questions that I have kind of pulled out of chat for the evening, we have got the Lunar Festival starting on Monday. So we have been seeing new stuff added in to the holidays all year this year with new items. So what have we got for the Lunar Festival, Perk?
So if you were playing right before Mr. Pandaria, you probably remember that if you ran Theramore, you had a chance to get this Alliance or Horde firework toy. And that's now been put in the toy box, and there's been no way to get that item since that 1 week before Mob. And it looks like, according to Battle.net, that you can buy schematics to make those toys using the Lunar Festival coins, which I am really excited about.
Yes.
And if it works like other toys, if you make one toy, you get the opposite faction one just automatically, so that's 2 toys in 1.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So I think it's really nice. It just has something to do with those coins that is outside of, like, the boring stuff that you could do with them before. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying seeing the holiday changes coming in. And the Lunar Festival for me was one of the ones that needed some kind of revamp the most, because it's just like, so I guess there's these guys in these light beams.
Right. The middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. So why am I doing this again? Salute the elders or something. But yeah, and there's also the potential, because we've seen the heirloom quest for the upgrades coming within the holiday items, that maybe there'll be something in there with the heirlooms, right? Because the quest to get the, like, upgrade items for level 90 upgrade, level 100 upgrade have been tied to some holiday stuff before.
Yeah, like, I know people on the PTR were saying, hey, the vendors on the PTR, they also sell these upgrade tokens for, like, 200 love tokens. So we could see, I mean, obviously I don't think you can get 200 Lunar Festival coins in 1 year, but we might see some upgrade tokens for the coins if 6.1 goes live during the holiday.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I think that would be, like, a nice thing for me, that would push me, like, the firework toys are awesome and I would definitely try to get those, but that would push me to be like, oh my god, heirloom upgrades. I'm leveling characters still. I really, really want these. Yeah. So I don't think, like, I doubt you're going to be, if they do it, and we have no guarantee that they will, I doubt it's going to be a case of, oh, hey, you can upgrade every single heirloom to level 100 just with one Lunar Festival. I think it's going to be a thing that you pull out over the year and you slowly work towards. Like maybe you can get one thing done in the Lunar Festival if they do it, and maybe then you have to wait for the next holiday to do the next thing.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to be able to have all of your level 100 heirlooms just after the Lunar Festival, guys. So yeah. But yeah, so if you have some questions, there's one question here from Bruce Nee_AU. But if you have any questions for us, throw them into the chat while we answer this one. We will try to get to them. So Bruce Nee_AU had a question that I saw that I just found it really interesting to speculate on. He asks, referring to the garrison, evidently, are they going to add more plots in a later patch? I don't know your feeling on this, Perk, but my feeling is definitely yes. Like I would be really surprised.
I'm thinking 6.2. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if we didn't see some additional plot in the garrison in 6.2. So like maybe I don't know whether it would be something. I'm kind of torn between whether they would add more building plots, so allowing us to build more of the buildings into the garrison. Like, personally, I would love another medium building plot, because I feel like I have more medium buildings than I have plots. That like more medium buildings that I want than I have plots. Good. Yeah, they're all really good. Whereas I'm like, I'm kind of about the large buildings. Right. So I would be really excited to see that added in, just to give you more choice with the medium buildings. But I'm kind of wondering also whether they would get something in to like an actual new what's the word I'm looking for? Like a fixed building, like the mine or the menagerie or the fishing shack, like so, where it's set.
At least in the Alliance garrison, there's this very suspicious, empty-looking plot that's under construction, where all the small buildings are, and I'm just like, oh man, like this just nothing is here except for some boxes. Like I bet there's going to be a plot here.
Yeah.
So I can picture either another small building or, like you said, a special building that's themed that everyone can get that they don't have to decide between. So, you know, maybe there's some really cool content that will be, attached to this building like they did for Pet Battles or Urbing. I'm hoping it's not another profession building, just because I think it made gathering professions kind of weird in Warlords.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, the fishing shack encouraging you to go fish, or the menagerie encouraging you to collect things for fun, were better preset buildings.
Yeah, definitely. Lorvos in chat says it's for the dance studio. Not sure I buy that, Lorvos. My only thought with it is that, my only thought with the sort of set building thing, which is the phrase I'm using to refer to things like the mine and the herb garden and the fishing shack, it was the sort of, I feel like they both on the seaside, and they both have like a boat that's kind of crashed into there, and like I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of like port maybe, or like, you know, because the way that we get to and from Draenor right now is kind of weird, and like maybe some kind of shipyard, port, like quay, dock, something along those lines.
Yeah, like more portals. I mean, not taking over the Mage Tower, but portals to other continents, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it would be kind of weird because, like, I was just kind of thinking about it, like, thematically it would be weird, because you'd kind of be, like, you know how you get a boat to Northrend or you get a boat to Pandaria? Like, you'd be going then through time.
Yeah, like a time warp.
A time boat. But, like, Blizzard has done stranger things in the past. Welcome to the Caverns of Time. So maybe, but I don't know. Like, my goodness, this name is hard. Themfing Yeti, I hope I got it right, says the Horde garrison has 2 spaces that aren't really used right in the middle of our main garrison area. Could easily fit a cooking and archaeology building. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I could see a cooking building, especially because we've got the archaeology mission, so I don't know if they would duplicate that and you show the artifacts in your town hall.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know, I could see something with cooking, definitely.
It would make just a ton of sense as well, because cooking is one of those things that's been kind of important, but we don't have a building for it already.
Right.
And there's also all of that stuff like the areas outside of the sort of main fenced or walled enclosure. Like, as you run out of the Alliance garrison going away from where you land in Shadowmoon, there's those guys there with like the little piles of lumber and stuff.
Yeah, and the tents and the forts and like the Gorgon.
Exactly. And in the Horde garrison, when you run out towards the lava lake rather than running, actually there's a lava lake on both sides, that was a bad example. When you run towards the big lava lake rather than the stepped lava lake, then there's a bunch of like empty stuff there that looks like there will be something going on. So yeah, I think it could be really cool, and who knows what we'll see. So
yeah, I just had this idea. Maybe it's tied to the garrison campaign. Because they said it's continuing in 6.2, so maybe if you do enough cool stuff, you will unlock more features in your garrison.
That would be cool. Yeah, I need to get on and actually do the garrison campaign, if that's the case. Like, now that you said that, I'm worried, because I'm like, that would be really good. I bet they do that. So now I feel I need to do the garrison campaign. But yeah, it's just scrolling up to see if there were any other questions. Someone was, Crowcar said, I wish they would make it possible to do some quests like once a month for holiday mounts. Love is in the Air rocket is driving me nuts. 11,100s. Wow, 11,100 congrats, dude. Every day this year, every year on max characters for 8 years and nothing. The Love of the Air rocket is a myth, man. That mount doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm very happy they added stuff this year for Love is in the Air, but I'm also a little about the Love Prism that you get because the achievement just seems to be an advertisement for using the group finder tool, and it's not, oh, I want to do this other cool content on my own and experience the holidays, so I'm a little, it's like, okay, you know, do the group finder, don't see the rocket drop, do the group finder, wait an hour to get your toy and achievement.
Yeah, it's kind of meh. Like, I'm not sort of super psyched about the achievement either, honestly. It's kind of weird. But yeah, a bunch of cool ideas for garrison buildings in the chat, but no additional questions. Yeah. So we will call it a day there. Thank you so much for the people who came and joined us in the chat room. We're really, really excited to be back streaming this again. It's really, really been fun for us to have like questions going on, and maybe we'll see when patch 6.1 drops, and maybe we'll do a Q&A around it then. Yeah. If there are still questions that people have, because I feel like we've covered it pretty well. But yeah, so it's pretty cool to be back. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be doing this every week again.
Back every week. We'll be around 2:30 p.m. Obviously, you know, nothing is perfect, so we can't guarantee bang on 2:30 military regulatory sort of hardcore timing every week. We are human. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. You can follow Perk on Twitter at Perculia. Above and below our screens here. You can follow Wowhead on Wowhead. And obviously you can find out everything that we talked about in the show this week and everything you could possibly ever need to know about the World of Warcraft over on wowhead.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. There's the Frostwolf part. I should get Hogger. Hey, look. Yay, Hogger. Bye. Hogger says bye.